What is up, DDD fam and YouTube peeps? It's your boy Brendan, aka Drip, back with another deck profile and a spicy video at that. Man, do I have some spice for you guys. Yes, it's another Orcust deck profile. And I do apologize for that because I did just do Orcust not even a few weeks ago before the ban list. This is not an updated list for the ban list. This is a new support, basically, deck list. A lot of people don't know, but I did a profile on this deck a while ago when this archetype first came out, Ogdoadic, because if you can't tell by the thumbnail, this is Ogdoadic Orcust. Back when the Ogdoadic first came out, people were experimenting with it with Orcust and seeing if it worked together, which it really did. It worked. It flowed pretty decently and pretty well because it allowed you to get monsters on board to be able to link with. And since a lot of Orcust flow through the graveyard at like past turn 2, there's a lot of synergy that way. But what a lot of people don't know, and no one has talked about, I haven't seen anybody talk about this, Ogdoadic actually got a new card out of Battle of Chaos. When I saw that they got a card out of Battle of Chaos, I had to look into it, and it's freaking ridiculous. That card is cracked. It's searchable, and it takes the utility factor from this deck, and it's just ridiculous what the utility provide. The snake's utility provides. What I'm trying to say. On top of that, a lot of things that people have issues with the Ogdoadic is how to summon the big bosses. The big bosses where you have to like usually tribute monsters in order to get like tribute to special summon them from grave or whatever. But this new card takes that problem and solves it, and along with gives us so much more utility. And I'll talk about that more when I get there. This deck's ceiling is so freaking high, in my personal opinion. It's ridiculous. This deck is so good. I got third place with it at my locals. I could have done better, but I scrubbed out because I'm still learning how the deck functions together as a whole, but we're getting there. But some of my ratios, they may change a little bit, but for like only with my utility cards and hand traps and stuff. Outside of that, the engines will not change the ratios. When it comes to the snake numbers and the Orcust numbers, that will never change. It's mainly like my go second cards may change, but right now I like this deck the way it is. So currently I would not change anything. I think it is good as the way it is because this deck needs as much gas as possible, and everything in here ties it all together. So basically, if like it got new support or something got hit on the list, it's probably the only time I would change something. If I change my mind, I'll let y'all know. But right now, this list is perfect. It's really good. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and start getting into the deck profile. I'm sorry I talk a lot, but it's just I want to make sure you guys understand everything that goes through my head when it goes to putting this deck together. Another thing I will say before we get into the profile is please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out the merch down below in the description. There's a link to my merch if you want some merch to become closer to the DD gang. eBay if you don't want to... Well, not eBay, but PayPal's down there as well if you feel like donating to the channel. Another thing too is Discord's down there as well if you want to become closer to get closer to the gang. We're really cool, big family down there. I love how family oriented basically we are down there. One thing I will say is if you're kind of a sensitive person, it might not be the place for you because it's basically locker room talk down there and just biker bar type shit. But another thing too is, like I said, I know I just updated a list with Mech Knights, Orcust, which one thing that separates these two decks is Mech Knights are more top heavy, as where the Ogdoadic engine is more bottom heavy. What I mean by that is the Mech Knight version is like probably more consistent at getting to your Orcust engine and also in finishing your opponent, along with controlling the board state, which is what I really like about it because it's like middle ground. As where this one is, it has so much going on. It can play through multiple hand traps. That's why we don't play a lot of go second decks, because it can play through a lot of interruptions because there's so much going on. On top of that, once you get your engine going and you got your Orcust, any kind of Orcust engraved and majority of your snakes engraved, it's really hard to stop you because everything, your entire deck, snakes, Orcust, everything starts flowing through grave. And it's hard to stop that unless they lock you under a Dweller or something. Because this deck doesn't give two shits about Crow. It don't care about Skullmeister. It don't care about nothing like that. The only two things it cares about is Dweller and Lancia. That's the only two things it cares about. Outside of that, we'll play through multiple interruptions. We'll play through multiple negates. We don't care. But yes, I think they're both equally powerful in my personal opinion. It just boils down to personal preference. So if you like this build and you want to see the Mech Knight version, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out in my channel. Not much I would change about that list. The band list didn't really change anything. But let's go ahead and get into this. I apologize. Starting out, we got 3 gears to himself. I'll just go ahead and show the Orcust lineup. My Orcust lineup is exactly the same as before. I don't like that 1-1-1 ratio crap. But we got 3 Gearsu, 2 Nightmare, 2 Skelly, 2-1. I'm religious on 2-1. The second one comes up a lot. And 1 brass. All right, so hear me out. 3 Gearsu because he's obviously your starter. He also gives you a token. He's the only card you control. And then the third effect a lot of people sleep on is he can become a tuner. Nightmare obvious, 2 Nightmare, 2 Skelly, 2 1. The second one does come up clutch because there's a lot of times where you can't properly recycle your stuff, which there's actually a way you can recycle your Orcust cards without your Orcust cards. There's a snake card that actually allows us to recycle our snakes. I mean, not our snakes, but our Orcust, and even though it's not an Orcust, basically. We'll get to more of that when we get there. On top of that, if you draw the wand and you dump the second one, then the other wand just becomes a free extender to help you get into your shenanigans, deeper into your shenanigans. Because sometimes the extra body does come up. And then brass, because it empties our hand along with being a level 1, and it's a tuner too. That'll play more later when we get into the extra deck. That's actually it for the Orcust lineup. Very standard, at least for my deck profiles, if you know, and you've been around the channel for a while. Not much really needs to be explained on that. Now on to the goo. We got 3 Nunu, 3 Naya, 2 Curse, 1 Dark, 1 the Queen. Shout outs to Argon in the Discord, dog. And then 1 Overlord. Alright, so I'm going to break down what these cards do if you don't know. Okay? So basically, let me get these out of the way. We'll come back to them in a second. Naya and Nunu, shout outs to Scuba if you're still around, dog. Fun fact, Scuba is one of my good friends. He's in my Discord. He's actually another content creator. He's been one of my good friends and good supporters since like early on in the channel days. I haven't heard from you in a while, but I hope you're doing good, bro. He actually is the one back in the day when these cards first came out. I bought most of these cards off of him. He also has a pet snake that he named Nunu, a ball python. It's a cute little snaky. But Nunu and Naya, they basically feed off each other. What they do is once they have 2 separate effects, and you can use them both effects in 1 turn. So but only once that turn. So you can use both their effects just only once that turn. Nunu can send. She's a light, and Naya's a dark. So Nunu can dump any dark snake. You discard her from the hand to dump from your deck any dark snake. And then her secondary effect is if you control no monsters, you can special summon herself to your field. So basically, you can foolish her from hand, dump her from hand, dump a dark one, then special summon her. But she locks you into reptiles until you get her off the field. But that doesn't play a factor because we'll get to more into that and how you get unlocked from that really quickly. The Naya's effect, if you couldn't guess it, she's a dark. You discard her from hand to dump a light snake from deck to grave. You need 3 of each because you need to see these as fast as possible. You really do. If you don't see these, because these 2 are how you get your snake engine going. They're one way you can get your snake engine going. So you need to see these as fast as possible. Then Naya's secondary effect is when she's special summoned. I think it's special summoned or normal summoned, right? Yeah. Whenever she's normal summoned, she's okay to normal summon, but obviously our normal summon would really want to be Gearsu if possible. But when she's normal or special summoned, she can search a Ogdoadic spell or trap, basically. Which, that's how we search the new card, is through her. Moving on to the other, back to the other snakes. We got 2 curse, the dark, the queen, and overlord. So basically, curse is how you unlock yourself from the Nunu. Because what you do is with this, which just gross because this card doesn't lock you into snakes or anything. The only card that locks you into snakes is Nunu. But what I mean by lock you into snakes is his effect. You contribute 1 monster you control to special summon him, then special summon a level 4 or lower snake from the grave. So basically, this is how you unlock yourself. Excuse me. You unlock yourself from Nunu. So basically, you special Nunu with a combo, tribute to special curse from grave after you use Naya or whatever you need to send this, and then use curse to special summon the Naya from grave and then search your spell or trap. So that's basically how the combo somewhat works. And then, but one thing I will say I forgot to mention is the Nunu and Naya, after they use their effects, their secondary effects, they get banished. But it's okay because that's where Dark comes in. Dark is the busted, but another thing, sorry, I apologize. I'm just trying to make sure I cover all things at once. Curse's effect, this is another reason why people stop playing snakes, is because they do have kind of withdrawals when you use their effect. Mainly these two. These two are the only ones that have withdrawals. Curse's effect, when you use his effect to special summon himself, before you can special summon a level 4 or lower from grave, your opponent has the opportunity to special summon a monster from their graveyard, but it negates their effects. So they don't like it when your opponent pluses, but it's okay because if it's negating their effect, with this deck you can easily break their board anyways. And in some situations, his effect to special summon will actually play a role, and I'll tack more onto that here in a second. And then Dark is how you actually can recycle your Orcust cards if they DD Crow you or you accidentally not properly recycle them. Because what his effects is, you can target 2 of your banished cards. You can tribute a monster, special summon him, and then target 2 of your banished cards, put them back in the graveyard, and then your opponent can add a monster from their graveyard back to their hand. So these two are very situational, but this one's not so situational as this one because I don't ever want to have my opponent to recycle their hand. But in some situations, you have to have him. On top of that, he is a different name. So worst case scenario, you can dump him and just sit him in grave and keep him there for if or when you ever need him. Because if you're going into late game, and sometimes it does help because they will banish your stuff, whether it be in a DD Crow, Shaddoll Aerial, Called by the Grave, whatever the case scenario is, and this is still left there, you can still get your stuff back. So it does come up, so I would not cut this card. This card, you definitely need it. So yeah, on top of that, he's a level 8. Fun fact, a lot of these are level 8, so you can just hard make Dingirsu if you need to get into an Orcust name. Fun fact. And then the Queen, she's really freaking busted. If you already have her on field mid to late game and you use Curse's effect, that's when it gets really hot. Because let's say your opponent controls them. I'm going too fast, sorry. Queen's effect, fun fact, is if your opponent special summons a monster from graveyard, you can send 1 card they control to the graveyard. Send it. Non-target, just send it. Just send it. Just send it to the graveyard. Then if your opponent sends a monster from hand or deck to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 light or dark, a reptile, from the grave. So basically, if you have Queen on field and you use Curse's effect, forces them to special summon a monster from grave, you can chain Queen's effect to send a card. So let's say, for an example, they have problematic back row or whatever. You force them to special summon a monster, whether it be in a hand trap or whatever from grave, then you can chain Queen's effect to send the tedious back row to the graveyard or whatever card you see problematic and annoying. It's really nutty that way. And then Big Boss himself, which we can easily tutor out. These two, by the way, are the ones. King we don't run King because he's not really good this format. Queen is just better than King overall, but there will be some formats where King will be necessary. These two require you. This one requires you to summon it. The only way you can summon it is to tribute 2 monsters you control to special summon it from grave. And then Overlord, you have to tribute 3 to special summon him. But the new card we'll get there when we get there allows you to play around that. But Overlord is your boss guy. He's the one you normally want to try to tutor out before you go Orcust combo because he's a light. Because you can summon Queen after you go Orcust combo because you're locked in the darks, but she's a dark, so it's fine. King is the one Overlord, basically King. Overlord is the one you want to really tutor out. He's freaking thick, dude. Thick. But Overlord's effect is once per summon, summon as in once while this card's on the field, basically. Quick effect. You can send all monsters on the field to the graveyard, except monsters that were special summoned from the graveyard. So basically, once you get your engine running, your Orcust, your DPE, because we do play DPE, your snakes, once you get all those in the rotation, you basically Regeki their board, non-destruction, just sending, while your board is just full. And you just keep breaking their board. And you can keep looping this too, so you can summon it, use its effect. If you have another big snake in grave, or curse, or any of your curse, you contribute this off to special summon and then just bring it back again. It's really disgusting. It's really disgusting. So this is your big boss monster. Basically, if you can get your opponent locked under this, and then DPE plus Orcust combo with Crescendo. So theoretically, indirectly, you can get them locked under Dengirsu plus Crescendo, because this will act as your Dengirsu, but on steroids, because instead of just sending one monster, you can send their entire freaking board in mid-combo if necessary. And in a lot of days' decks, board presence matters a lot. It really freaking does. Hopefully I explained that enough. If not, well enough, I mean. If I did not, just let me know in the comment section. Or if you want to see a combo tutorial video, I can do that and go in more depth, because I know some of y'all... y'all don't like how long my videos are, and I apologize, but it's just because I want to explain everything and get the best content to you as possible. But if you still need a little more introduction to the snakes or whatever, just let me know, and I can do a combo video and all that, and go in more detail explanation. Moving on to the rest of the cards, I did opt to keep the warrior package just because of multiple reasons. He helps you get into your Orcust shenanigans if necessary. On top of that, he can send your dark snakes too, because there is some situations where you can only get half your snake engine running, and this one will help you get into your dark part. On top of that, obviously Greffer is Greffer. It can help you with your Orcust shenanigans. It also helps you get into your snake engine too, because of some of your snakes being dark. So basically, theoretically, you can normal this, send a dark snake from hand if you'd hard draw Queen or whatever, and then also foolish your Nightmare, your Orcust Nightmare if necessary. So both of their utility is very nice and floats very well with both parts of the deck, is why I decided to opt to put them back in there, because originally I wasn't running these two. But their utility to help you with the snakes and the Orcust is just, it's too good to take them out. Because the way this deck, I built this deck, and the way I theorized it when I was making it, is I wanted everything to flow. Majority of the time, if you see my deck profiles, I will cut certain cards out that some people may run, just to be able to have the consistency and where everything can flow. Basically, everything in this deck needs to flow from the grave, and you need to be able to get them out of your hand. So basically, I made it to where if I hard draw cards I don't want in my hand, I want to be able to find a way to get them out of my hand. One being Greffer, the other one's being draw cards, the other one's being cards and spells and allows me to dump from my hand, etc., etc. I wanted everything to be able to flow smoothly, which it does. This deck is very good and very consistent. Moving on, yes, we are running the DPE package. Yes, a lot of my deck profiles here lately run the DPE package. The deck, not the deck, but the package is just too freaking good right now not to run it. You don't have to run it. Sorry, that was my son, not a monkey. He is my little monkey, though. But no, the package is too freaking good not to run it. If you don't have money for it, that's perfectly fine. You can just put hand traps in replace to this if you want or see fit. But this is too good because once this gets flowing, it's originally it's special summon from graveyard once you get flowing. So then it won't get sent off of your snakes. On top of that, it's Pot of Greed. On top of that, it's constant spot removal. And like, what did I say in a lot of my videos? Spot removal can win you games a lot. So basically, they set a trap. If you're playing a trap deck, you just continuously keep popping their traps so they stay a turn behind every time, and they can't play catch up. Or you pop a card that is going to be problematic and don't want to deal with it, and then you could just send the rest with Overlord mid to late turn. So the Pot of Greed and the special effect off Dasher comes up a lot. Definitely if you draw like some of your snakes or whatever, yeah, it plays a big part. And then onto the spells, the biggest freaking ash bait of them all, but if it resolves, you just win the freaking game. 3 Snake Rain. This card is disgusting. Discard 1 card for cost, by the way, so you can dump your Orcust cards from hand to dump 4 reptiles. This is a 1 card starter, 1 card combo, basically. This is a 1 card combo. You dump anything, and you just dump all 4 reptiles that you need. Nunu, Naya, Curse, and then King, or I mean not King, but Queen. Okay, that right there. That's all you need. That's all you need. If you have something else, find a way to dump Overlord, then obviously you want to get Overlord to the grave too. But Overlord and Queen are the main priorities. You want to get to the grave after you get Curse, Nunu, and Naya. Yeah. Moving on to the rest of the spells. We got 3 Droplet. Droplet is the only main deck card that I run that is a go second card. Because 1, it's the best card, go second card in the game. And 2, like I said earlier, I want everything in my deck to be able to flow from the grave. And also get cards out of... But no, they'll wrongfully use hand traps when it's too late because you've already plussed so hard at that point. Because instead of plussing by refilling the hand like normal Yu-Gi-Oh decks, this deck plusses by filling the grave. But if you can refill the hand too, then you're just golden. That's hence why we run the Destiny Hero package with the Celestial and all that. Because at that point, we fill the deck and we just dig deeper for more combo pieces / extenders. And on top of that, this can send from hand, which also unfills our hand exactly like I said I would like this deck to flow. So between these 6 cards here, all these 6 cards get cards out of our hand, along with stopping our opponent. This card saves me more times than not. In any deck I run it in, this is the best card in all my decks. Out of all my decks, this is always the best card. There's no really replacing this card. Obviously, I understand it's a lot of freaking money. If you can't afford it, then just run Chalice, because you need the quick play standpoint in this format. Dark Ruler is garbage. At that point, it's too late. So it's either this or Chalice. Or Imperm. But moving on to the rest of the spells, the rest of them are kind of like power 1-offs. We got 1 Orchestrated Return. I really wanted to fit 2. One of my subscribers actually commented, and he made a very valid point. But with this deck, you could theoretically not really play around it, but fill your grave anyways, unless all your cards are in rotation. He made a point to where the second Orchestrated Return comes up if your opponent plays Mystic Mine, because you could just send your Orcust cards to grave to where you control no monsters and they control no monsters, and then it just makes mine go away. I do get that, and I really wish I had room for a second one, but I don't. On top of that, I normally don't, unless I hard draw this and actually need to use this, I don't use this. Because like I said, I want to put cards in graves, so the only way I ever use this is if I have a dead hand and I need to draw and get something out of my hand, basically. So other than that, I will normally sit on this, or I will search it late game. So that play, worrying about mine, actually it does work, and I do save it for that very reason. Sorry about that. Next one is Called By. I opted to put Called By in here because of Lancia, everything. There's a lot of monster hand traps are finding its way back in the format. On top of that, Scythe. Scythe is a card, guys. So, and DPE, you can hit your opponent's DPE, you can hit their DP package engraved. So there's a lot of utility with call by. If I have room in any of my decks, I'm going to try to run call by this format. But yeah, call by is just really good. And then again, unfilling our hand, 1-for-1, to get cards out of our hand and on field. This is obviously for the obvious target, which is the brass. Not much explanation there. 1 Rhoda for the warrior package. 1 Babel because it's probably top 5, top 10 most broken field spells of all time. 1 Lily for late game. Originally, this was actually for the combo. This was for the combo, the old combo. You would have to search this, so we would force to run 2. But now, since we got the new card, we don't need to search this anymore. We search the new card instead, and we search this late game. So originally we'd use Naya to search this, but the new card is so much better. And then as speaking of the new card, Ogdoadic Serpent Strike. This card is freaking ridiculous. Let me read it to you. Okay? It says, you can send 1 monster from your hand or field to the graveyard. Then target 1 reptile monster in your graveyard with a different attribute original attribute that monster. God, dude, I can't read. Sorry, I'm trying to listen to my son. You can special summon 1 monster from. You can send 1 monster from your hand or field to the graveyard. Then target 1 reptile in the graveyard with a different original attribute than that monster. Special summon it. During the main phase, if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can send 1 reptile from your deck or graveyard. You can only use each effect, blah, 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 once per turn. So basically, what does this card do that I said I want to do with this entire deck? It unfills the hand. On top of that, this card special summons your big dogs for basically free. Where are they at? Right here. They special summon any of them. Basically ignoring their summoning conditions. Because it doesn't say that you have to tribute 3 first. You can tribute 3 to blah, blah, blah. But this card plays around that. So if you want to summon like Overlord, the big dog, and you have Orcust in hand and you need to unfill it, you search this off of Naya, okay? Activate this, send the Nightmare from hand to the graveyard to special summon Overlord, because the Nightmare is a dark and Overlord is a light. And if you want to special summon Queen and she's a dark, you just send you can send a light monster to the graveyard and special summon Queen. It's really busted. Then once you get your opponent, like let's say for an example, we couldn't fill our graveyard with Overlord in enough time, so we can only send Queen. So basically, we could summon Queen with our combo. When they send a card to the graveyard, on their turn we can use this effect to Foolish Overlord. Then if they send a monster from hand or deck to grave, we can chain Queen's effect to summon the Overlord on our opponent's turn to be able to nuke their board. So theoretically, this card will get you to your Overlord on your opponent's turn. It's freaking disgusting. And it basically bypasses their summoning condition. And on top of that, refilling your graveyard on your opponent's turn. It's disgusting. Because you will always have reptiles engraved. So it does, this one card right here does all this I'm about to say. It unfills your hand. It foolishes anything, any of your reptiles. It bypasses the big dog summoning conditions. It deck thins. It does all of that. Just one simple card does 4 different things. If that doesn't like tie everything together, I don't know what will. And then the last card in the deck is Orchestrated Return. I mean, not Orchestrated Return, Orcust Crescendo, sorry. Crescendo is obvious. I would love to run a second one if I had room, but I don't have room. I have to run 40 or I'll lose my mind. Moving on to the extra deck. Token. All right, tokens. Link ones, we got Link Revo, obviously for the token that Gearsu gives us, plus anything our opponent may give us. Explanatory. On the link 2s, we got Verte, Masquerena. Not much needs to be said here, obviously. Standard Orcust shenanigans. We got Galley, 2 Galley. A third one doesn't come up that much. It comes up sometimes, but regardless, you can find another play, and it's not like combo hindering or deck hindering needing a third one. It is what it is. But I still like 2. You don't need 3. The one that no one ever plays, Long. Long is disgusting. If you don't play Long, then you're just not a real Orcust player. This card is nuts, and it needs a higher print rarity than super rare. Come on. 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Obviously, it pairs well with IP and everything else. Better than Access Code Talker, Sword Dragon. Better than Access Code Talker, Sword Dragon is what his name is. Boral Sword, OG, been with me forever. 1 auto win button. This card is disgusting. Definitely ever since it got eroded. Yeah. Not much need to say there. You get locked under Babel. This is your emergency win button. Like, you activate this when you're running out of resources and you already like use DPE, or they've outed your DPE and you need this to win. Like, it's win or go home. Basically, this is your last resort, but it's still a win button. You just summon this, get them locked under the Babel, summon Dingirsu, zone it points to, banish the entire field, comes back, attack for game. That's it for the Link monsters. Moving on to the XCs. We got 2 Dingirsu. I only got 1 ulti because I'm garbage. 1 King of the Pharaoh Imps, because fun fact, there are... Oh, sorry, my camera just did stupid stuff. Fun fact, there are some situations where you might get hand trapped and you can't get yourself unlocked from Nunu. So you can... Nunu's a level 4, so you can just normal summon Girsu, dump, and then overlay into this to get yourself unlocked from reptiles. And this one will search a reptile. So you can search a follow-up for like Nunu or Naya to be able to dump. Or if you need one from that turn, search the opposite to dump it. If you need it, the opposite in grave. Fun fact, the Serpent Strike can special this from grave too after you already use it or whatever. 1 Zeus. So basically you can use the strikes to summon this, attack, need to. Make Zeus, even though you won't have no materials, and then if something gets destroyed, you can just refill 1 material on Zeus, and then your Zeus will be live, whatever, if you need to. But regardless, it can special summon back. But mainly Zeus is going to be for if you hard make Ding, because like I said, a lot of your reptiles are level 8, so you can hard make Ding if you need to, just for the name, or you can just do it to turbo out Zeus. So it works out. That's it for the XCs. And then obviously DPE. DPE is DPE. Not much explanation there. And then the last card in the extra deck is Chaotic Ruler, because you can make this off of Nightmare and your Brass. And then this can basically off its effect, you can mill your snakes and your Orcust cards, or add Orcust cards and your snakes. So basically, it can mill your snakes and add either or to from your deck to your hand when it excavates to 5. So it's really busted, and it recurs itself too. So it comes up mid to late game. If you make it, most of the time though, when I make it, like it's mid to late game anyways. I very rarely, seldom get the opportunity to make it like early game, but it's there if you need it to. So it's really good in that regard, and I wouldn't cut it really. By the way, shout outs to all the summoning mechanics in my extra deck, bro. Fun fact, if you didn't catch on to that. I will show you all my side that I've been running with this deck. I'm moving my camera over, sorry. The side can be like interchange or whatever, depending on your locals. But this is what worked for me. I got 3 Phantasme because a lot of links are in the format now, and there's people are still making Verte. People running links as in like Prank Kids, Phantom Knights, any link deck basically, and also any deck may convert a 3 Lancia, just Lancia, 2 Droll, 2 Evenly, 2 D-Barrier, and 2 Cosmic. This is what I roll with. It's the most generic. Fun fact, these 6 right here with the Phantasmes and the Artifact, they're not bricks mid to late game. Obviously, Lancia, if you side it, you're in there for a reason. These are not bricks late game because worst case scenario, you can use these since they're dark. You can discard it to off of Serpent Strike to special summon a light. So worst case scenario, you can dump this from hand in order to special summon Overlord from the graveyard if you have Overlord engraved. And if you didn't need Lancey's effect to banish, you can discard it to special summon Dark Snake, well, like Queen or whatever from graveyard. So these 6 here are really good and versatile for their effects, obvious, and then they pair very well with Serpent Strike because, like I said before, I want everything to intertwine and tie together. So these 6 are really good for that too. On top of that, Cosmic is better than Twin Twister this format because it just banishes, so it takes care of the trash Eldritch shit and helps you out with the Scythe package. And then Evenly is just generic spot removal that is a trap card, and it banishes instead of destroys. So it works out in that regard, and that's why I play it. And obviously the last card is Harpy's Feather Duster. I very rarely use this because I prefer Cosmic, but if I know I'm not playing against Eldritch and I'm just playing against some random backward deck like Guru or something like that, I'll side this in. On top of that, it does no restrictions to where I like Lightning Storm and stuff does. But theoretically, Twin Twisters would be really good with this deck because it discards and unfills the hand. It's just right now, Twin is not good because everybody that's running back row decks for most part is running Lord of Heavenly Prison. And if it's not that, it's any variant of Eldritch. And if you just destroy their cards, it applies a lot of pressure to you to actually kill them that turn because Overlord doesn't send back row. Sadly, it only sends monsters. So they're still just going to get everything back that you send to the graveyard. So if you do Twin Twisters and pops it, like I said, it puts way too much pressure on you to kill them. As where if you just evenly and banish them, you should be good and Cosmic and banishing them, you should be good at least for a turn or two if you don't kill them because this deck can OTK, but you need everything to go right in order to do so. This deck likes to outgrind your opponent because once you get everything engraved, you just constantly float and rotate and basically win the game outright in a couple of turns. But outside of that, that's my outlook on those. But yes, theoretically, Twin Twister would be good with this deck. But that's maybe for later formats. But with that being said, guys, I know this was a long video. I just tried to explain everything as much as I could and as well as I could. If I missed anything, please let me know. If you would like to see a combo video, please let me know. If you're not part of the DDD fam, please hit that subscribe button. Become part of the growing fam. We're growing really fast, and I love to see it. And if you are not that sensitive and you think you get along with our kind of sense of humors and stuff, go check out our Discord, my Discord server down low in the description. I like to see new people join and just like to meet new people. It's what's good about this game. But again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, learned something from it, took something from it. With that being said, you all have a wonderful day, night, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this video. I hope you all are staying safe out there in the age of COVID. And your boy Drip out. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.